Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Our webinar is about to start. We're just gonna wait for a few minutes for more people to join us. So please keep connected. During the webinar, we kindly invite you to ask questions to our panelists, but please bear in mind that they will be answered at the Q&A session after the presentations. And also to remind you that the presentations and the video will be shared after the event. They will be sent to your emails, and you can always find all the information on our website, but it'll be soon available after this event. So we're gonna be just waiting for a few minutes more before we start. You can start by introducing yourself by saying good morning here in the chat. Tell us where you're from, your company, and why you're here. Okay, we're just gonna wait 2 minutes more before we start. Good morning, Martin, from the Holding House. Felipe Varas, hi. Ricardo Evia. Dr. Maria Jose Galotto, good morning. I see a lot of people here on the webinar. Thank you for your interest in participating here and joining us. Good. We have a great audience today. A lot of people is getting connected. So we're gonna wait just 1 more minute before we start. Okay, so good morning, everyone. We're about to start our webinar. My name is Cristian Zagal. I'm a senior investment promotion executive at Invest Chile, and I'm going to be today's webinar host. On behalf of the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Chile and Invest Chile, we would like to welcome you to our webinar, Circular Economy and Food Packaging in Chile, a Business Opportunity. We will start with some words from the Director of Invest Chile, Mr. Juan Araya.
Thank you, Christian, and good morning, everyone. On behalf of Invest Chile, I want to start by thanking the Embassy of the Netherlands for hosting this online event with us. We deeply appreciate our collaboration with Ambassador Harmony Dema and his team as a way to boost the economic relationship between our countries. For those who don't know Invest Chile, And about us, we are the Foreign Investment Promotion Agency of Chile. Each year, we advise more than 700 companies, and our portfolio of assistant projects reach a potential investment of almost $18 billion and keeps growing. It is not a surprise to point out that we are facing challenging times for FDI attraction. According to the United Nations World Economic Report 2020, global foreign direct investment flows are forecast to decrease by up to 40% this year. Considering the difficulties times for the world economy, it's good news that our inflow of foreign investment has maintained its dynamism. In the first half of the year, Chile received $9.8 billion in foreign direct investment. This represents an increase of 53% on the same period last year. We keep offering good opportunities for foreign investors, and the companies from the Netherlands knows about this very well. In fact, the Netherlands is Chile's fourth largest source of foreign investment, with a stock of more than $19.8 billion to 2018. As you will learn on this seminar, we are not looking just for more foreign investment, but also for better investment for Chile. That's why we are now talking about sustainability and circular economy in the context of the packaging industry. We are extremely interested in the continuous development of foreign investment projects in our country, especially for those projects that would help us to tackle our sustainability challenges. We are also convinced that FDI will play a key role in our economy in the post-COVID-19 scenario. Invest Chile will be happy to assist you in any new endeavor. So if you want to explore new opportunities in our country, expand your operation, if we can connect you with our authorities, please feel free to contact me or reach out any of our executives. Once again, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you.
Many thanks for your word, Juan. So we will now continue with the ambassadors, Mr. Harmani Dema. Harman is the ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Chile, a position that started in 2017. He has experience in different positions in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Netherlands, Head of Administration and Consular Affairs at the Embassy of the Netherlands in Kampala, and Consular at the embassies in Guatemala and Colombia. Before arriving in Chile, he worked as a director in the International Cooperation Office of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in The Hague. Previously, he studied public administration and international relations in the Twente University of the Netherlands. Harman is specialized in bilateral relations, trade strategy, international cooperations, and management. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Please, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you for the opportunity to have this great seminar with you. And also thank you very much, Juan Araya, Director of Invest Chile. Our embassy, Netherlands, and Invest Chile and Chile have had a very intense, very good relationship for many years. And I know whenever we have an issue we need to deal with, we can always come to Invest Chile, and they will try to help us as much as they can. So thank you again for organizing this, and I'm very happy actually that we have such a large crowd today. I see about 100 participants at the moment, and also for this subject. This is an important subject. I think circular economy is a theme where Holland has a strong advantage, and I think Chile is also on the road down to implementing a circular economy. And I've seen a lot of enthusiasm on this theme in Chile. I will be telling you a little bit about the relations between the Netherlands and Chile, talk a little bit about the economic relationship, give you a short panorama, which will give you a base for the further presentations that we'll have. So in general, if we look at Chile at a glance, next slide, please. If you look at Chile from a glance, it has more or less the same amount of inhabitants as the Netherlands, maybe about 1 million more, I'd say. But the country is about 27 times as big as the Netherlands. 18.4 million. It depends a little bit on how you can count and how big you make the region of Santiago, but about 8 or 9 million, if I'm not mistaken, live around the area of the Región Metropolitana. So a large part of the population is here, and also, of course, in the different regions. And each region has its own speciality. Because if you look at the north of Chile, of course, you have a lot of mining, and it has to do with the climate. We also see a lot of solar panels. And the south, it's more, of course, you have Antarctica, but if you go to the mid-south area, you have a lot of agriculture. It is a presidential republic with a multi-party system. They work with a coalition system like we have in the Netherlands, except they make the coalition before the elections, while in the Netherlands, we do it after the elections. Together with Panama, it's the richest country in Latin America. There's some small islands in Latin America that are also quite rich, but I left those outside of this picture. It is the only full OECD member in Latin America, of South America. And Chile is also considered often an island. You can tell that sometimes by the culture. Of course, it's a country that in the north is we have a big desert there and also a big mountain range. In the west and the south, we have the Pacific Ocean, of course, and in the east we have the Andes. So it really it is kind of like an island. It has that feel to it too. The next slide, please. So the economy of Chile, it is a very open economy, has a solid macroeconomic policy. It's one of the countries, I would say, that has the most developed economy of Latin America. It has the highest number of trade agreements. I think it's more than 60, and so about 4 million potential consumers. It has been, in the last decades, one of the fastest growing economies. The poverty has gone down a lot, from 40% in 2000 to 8% in 2017. That is actually a marvelous, tremendous success. At the same time, and there's also been some social unrest in the last few months, which also shows there's still work to do. I think the inequality is part of that. It is also a country where it is very easy to do business. In all the rankings from World Bank and other rankings that have to do with one way or another looking at doing business, Chile always scores very high. I think innovation in Latin America, generally they do okay, but that is still something they can work on. I think that's where Holland also can offer our experience and our business. Unemployment about 7%. That will probably grow a bit because of the pandemia. As Juan Araya already said, the Netherlands is the 4th biggest investor in Chile, which is after Canada, the US, and Spain, if I'm not mistaken. Inflation is usually between 2 and 3%. And I've said this, I was in Colombia as well. And I remember I was saying there as well when I was worked for the embassy that Colombia is a great springboard for the rest of the jumping board for the rest of the continent. There I said it because of also the link with the Antilles and of course a big market in Colombia. Here I must say it is a springboard because the economy is so well developed and it's easy to start business here. So if you can do it here, you get kind of a soft landing in Latin America. Next slide, please. Well, what are the main commercial sectors for Chile? Mining is by far the biggest one. About half of its exports, more than half of its export goes through mining. That's both copper and lithium, of course, very big. Here, there's also a large Dutch involvement, a lot of it in the service industry, the engineering, and I think here's also still a lot of more opportunities for Dutch companies to come in. When we talk about efficient use of water, efficient use of machinery, engineering. Of course, we have a lot of Dutch companies that can help here. And I must say that the added role of these Dutch companies in mining always has to do with efficiency of use of natural resources, which of course goes very, very far in the direction of circular economy. Then Chile has been diversifying their economy bit by bit in agriculture, salmon, wine, and fruit. Very clear, and of course, especially in the agro-food business, the Netherlands is doing a lot of cooperation with Chile. It's of course it's trade, but it's also working together with Chilean partners to co-invest in new technologies so that Chile can do a better export towards Asia. Because Asia by far is the most important market for Chile, and that is possible also because their technology is increasing, because efficiency is increasing, and here the Netherlands is playing an important role. And when we talk about circular economy and about packaging and about circular agriculture, this is something where the Netherlands can really help. Can we go to the next one, please? If we look at Chilean export, I said, you know, it is Asia, which is more than half of the export. If we look at the Netherlands, it is that in the total upper right corner, the purple part is Europe, and the right upper square is the Netherlands. So we are basically the second destination in Europe after Spain. And in terms of investments here, you can see the list. So next slide, please. Yeah, and especially since this is a seminar about circular economy and about packaging, I think it's good to tell you a little bit about how Chile is dealing with climate change. It is just like the Netherlands, very vulnerable to climate change, and is one of the 10 countries that is most strongly impacted by climate change in the world. Chile has ambitions. It's very high ambitions when we talk about the climate. It strives to be climate neutral in 2050, just like the Netherlands. The COP25, the big climate international negotiation meeting would have taken place in Chile the end of last year. In the end, that was canceled here in Chile. It had to go. It went to Spain. But it showed also Chile's interest and ambition. And Chile, together with the Netherlands, forms part of a group that lobbies for more ambitions regarding the Paris Agreement, together with the head of the UN. They are interested in circular economy and circular agriculture. We notice that from every side. Businesses are interested, the government is interested. I think we have also a great group of partners in this webinar. We have Invest Chile, Euro Chile, but also Ministry of Environment, who is going to speak, the head of the circular economy unit, and that just shows how eager they are to implement this as part of their climate ambitions. And of course, the pandemic has hit Chile hard, and also the protests last year, you know, did bring some, kind of a more difficult period for Chile. And of course, because of that, Chile will go into a recession like most countries in Latin America. However, what I think was very impressive, that their climate ambitions stay straight. They haven't cut in any budgets of climate, and they even have made their climate ambitions stronger in their last nationally determined contributions to the Paris Agreement. So I think that is actually quite impressive, that they stick to their promises and they stick to their ambitions. Can we have the next slide, please? So then just to finish off, we have an embassy here that does what most embassies do in their countries. We have consular work, we work on bilateral relations, economic diplomacy, climate diplomacy. We have cultural work, and we work on human rights. But basically, economic diplomacy and climate diplomacy, those are the heart, the essence of our work here in Chile. Next slide, please. And then just looking at what we can do for you and what you can count on in terms of services from us. Please, you can always find the embassy for whatever service you need, whatever help you need. We can either help you directly or refer you. So that's just to start with. our role basically is a lot to contribute to creating a level playing field. So we make sure that all the businesses from all countries get at least the same treatment. That is actually normally quite well organized here. And that also means that we help companies through contacts in different ministries or other businesses. We have, of course, direct services, trade questions, sector studies, etc. Together with the support of the RVO, the Dutch Dutch Enterprise Agency, they can help you from the Netherlands side. We do Netherlands branding. It's not Holland branding anymore. It's Netherlands branding. And we are actually at this moment together with the Holland House. We are setting up a e-embassy, an electronic digital embassy, where we put a platform combining trade, consular, and other information, where we also do e-trade missions, e-matchmaking. So basically offer the same service, but all in a digital way. Then just to finish off, good to know that there's a Holland House in Chile, and that is also a platform for networking. It organizes impactful events, and that actually has been around for a very short time, but they are very fastly increasing their memberships, and I'm very happy that we can work together with the Holland House to set up this electronic embassy. That is my my kickoff, maybe a little bit on the long side. I hope if you need any more information, there is an email at the bottom, and otherwise always can find me on Twitter, Harman in Chile, and you will find me. Thank you very much, and hope you have a good webinar.
Thank you so much for your words, Ambassador. It was quite interesting what you presented. Now it's my turn, so let's go ahead with that. Well, before starting the presentation, I would like to thank the audience we have today and the interest for this matter. So far, we have around 120 people connected, so it's pretty impressive. Well, the aim of this presentation is to give you a brief overview of the Chilean food market and why this should be of interest for a foreign investor looking to do business in Chile. Here at Invest Chile, we promote foreign direct investment into the country, and we are therefore excited about opportunities such as this one to engage with foreign companies and to share with you the relevant information so that you can be informed about Chile and business opportunities in the country. Next slide, please. Okay, so here I'm going to show you the import and export figures for 2019 are shown here. And we can see that here that Chile has a relatively balanced trade account. For your interest, I also included the import and export numbers for the first semester of 2020. In terms of GDP per capita, as it was already mentioned, Chile is the highest ranking country in Latin America at about $26,000. And this is the number that has consistently increased over the last 3 decades. The central bank lending rate is currently 0.5%, and this has been progressively lower during the year as a response to the current global pandemic and economic crisis. If you look at the inflation in 2019, it was around 3%. It might be of interest to explain that the central bank has a target range for inflation, and they have successfully managed to maintain the inflation rate within this range for more than 20 years now. For the period 2000 and 2019, the average rate of inflation was 3.2%. When we look at the foreign direct investment figures, the average annual inflow of FDI over the last 20 years has been a healthy 15 million USD per year. Next slide, please. Well, in the following slide, you will look at some of the advantages directly related to foreign direct investment in Chile. Firstly, the country has a long-standing policy of non-discrimination with regards to foreign companies. And what this means is that any international company is allowed to own 100% of business venture in Chile, and also that the country's legal framework guarantees equal treatment under the law. Secondly, the free flow of capital and profits in and out of the country is guaranteed by law. And lastly, Chile is dedicated to a pro-business environment. It continuously aims to make doing business in the country easier in terms of simplifying the tax system and the ease of setting up a business. It might be worth noting that Chile has been consistently ranked as the most competitive country in Latin America since the creation of the ranking by the World Economic Forum. Next slide, please. The next, yeah, there you go. Now, if we go to the stock of FDI from the Netherlands in Chile, you will see that during 2018, it was almost $20,000 million, being the Netherlands, as it was mentioned already, the fourth economy investing the most in Chile, and the second one from Europe. The first one is Spain. This figure represents 7.2% of the total FDI received by Chile. I have also to mention that Chile has 29 free trade agreements with the main economies of the world. Chile and the European Union have an FTA valid, which is a major advantage for the commerce between Europe and the Netherlands. To your right side hand, you will see some examples of foreign companies from the Netherlands already based in Chile and operating in our ecosystem. We have Syntom, Philips, TNT, Rabobank, Heineken, you all know Heineken, Nutreco, and Hendrik Genetics, just to name a few. The common thing that most of these companies have is that they're developing R&D in Chile. They're taking advantage of the R&D law to carry on their research and development here in the country. Next slide, please. Regarding the food market in Chile, the following figure shows the evolution of the consumption and how much we export to the world. You can see a tendency in growth from 2012 to 2019. In average, the local consumption represents around 60% of the total food market. The rest is exported, and every year we continue growing more and more, satisfying local and external demand for food. Chile is known as the leader of export in some products, and in order to maintain that leadership, we have to take care on how the products are arriving to destiny, improving their shelf life and the material used to be in line with the world's trends of recyclability and compostability. Next slide, please. So, what is the situation in Chile? We're heading to be a sustainable country. Last week, we just banned the total use of plastic bags from the commerce. So Chile has been always known as an export platform in the region. Many companies arrive to Chile and expand their business from Chile. However, we don't want to be only known as an export country. We also want to be known as a sustainable country, leader in the region. That's why Chile has committed with the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN in 2015. The following figures shows a circular economy model where innovative and sustainable food packaging will play an important role in our ecosystem. That's the reason why the state of Chile is doing efforts to achieve this SDG by 2013. And this is what our following speakers will approach. Next slide, please. Just to sum up, how can Chile help you when prospecting or when landing into the Chilean market? Well, we provide information over the tax system, legal aspects, FDI statistics, among others. Also guidance and connecting you with the investors, with the national ecosystems in order to get a better understanding on what is to do business in Chile. Finally, we offer aftercare service where we support all the foreign companies based in Chile with their expansion or reinvestment plans. To know what are the permits required to build a new plant facility, for example, and to explore incentives depending on the nature of the project. Next slide, please. Well, this is just to summarize. We want to invite you to check out our websites where we have published 2 COVID-19 documents mentioning the efforts the government has made in order to activate the economy during the pandemic. Also, you will be able to check the investor's guide, which will tell you step by step how to do business in Chile. Also, we have investment portfolios for other sectors of the economy, like mining, tourism, among others. So We invite you to explore Chile and to discover this new innovative country heading to be the leader in sustainability within the Latin region. So this is for now. Thank you. We will continue now with Guillermo Gonzalez's presentation. I will introduce you, Guillermo. Okay, Guillermo is a civil engineer of the Universidad Católica de Chile and has a master in environmental engineering and a master in public policy, both from the Universidad of California, Berkeley. And he has over 12 years of experience conducting environmental consulting on the public and private sector and working in different civil society organizations. He has taught courses of environmental management, environmental impact assessment, and circular economy on Universidad Católica, Universidad Adolfo Ibáñez, and Universidad del Desarrollo. Welcome, Guillermo. Please, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Christian. Let me just share my screen again. There we go. So good morning to everyone in Chile. Good afternoon to everyone in Europe, in Holland. Thank you very much, Invest Chile. Thank you very much to the Embassy of the Netherlands for the invitation to present what we are doing from the Ministry of the Environment to move towards a circular Chile, which is the title of this presentation. I aim to give you a very brief overview of the kinds of things we are doing, the kinds of policies we are promoting, and the kinds of opportunities that we see here for foreign investors. I'll talk about that along the presentation. Unfortunately, the Undersecretary asked me to replace him at another activity at 10:30, so I'll make a 20-minute presentation, then we'll have just a few minutes for questions, and then I will have to leave. So I'm going to talk to you about this circular economy office that I'm heading. Then I'm going to double click on one of the specific policy issues, which is the extended producer responsibility law that we are currently implementing. And then I'm just going to mention some other key regulatory issues, and then I'm going to tell you about a overarching strategy, which is our circular economy roadmap that we're currently building. So the Circular Economy Office is, you could say, a new office. It started 2 years ago, but it's actually not new. It was just a rename from an old waste office that we renamed under the Circular Economy Office in that year. And why did we do that? Because we realized that over the past 20 years, the focus in Chile had been related to waste management. What do we mean by that? Move from very basic waste dumps to proper landfills with all the, as an engineering work, with all the treatment for the gas and the leachates and everything. And we've done that quite well. We are now sending 82% of our waste to a proper infrastructure for dealing with it. But then when you realize, and listening to the previous presentations, when you look at this country, which is a leader in many different areas of policy, in economic development as well in the region, you think that, or we realize that basically continuing on just waste management is not nearly enough. We need to think differently. We need to think about how we get rid of waste, which is what the circular economy vision tells us, right? That waste should not exist. And if waste should not exist, we shouldn't have an office dealing with waste. We should have an office dealing with how to get rid of waste, with how to implement this circular economy in the country, right? And when you look at what we've done as a country in other areas, very related areas, for instance, in wastewater treatment, what you see is that over the past 20 years, we invested over $1 billion to set up first world infrastructure to manage those waters. You can see here that among OECD countries, today we are at the very top. We're treating around almost 100% of our wastewater in our cities, right? Which is great. But when you look at what we've done related to solid waste, here you can see how much waste we are producing per capita as we compare to other OECD countries. As the ambassador said, we are an OECD country since 2010. And what you see there is that we are producing pretty much, we're in the mid-range, right? We are not very salient in terms of our low or high production of waste per capita. It is though interesting to note that we are producing more per capita waste than very highly developed countries like Japan and South Korea. But when you look at what we are doing with that waste, basically what you see is that we are at the very end of the list with Turkey, right? Basically what you see here is that the blue line, the dark blue line, tells us how much waste is going totally without any kind of treatment. It's just going to the landfill, right? And when you put these glasses on, you realize that good picture that I sent you, that I mentioned before, we are sending 82% of our waste to a proper landfill. It's not really that much of a good news, right? And that we have a huge challenge as a country just to move to the middle range of this graph, right? But just as we realize it's a huge challenge, we see it as a huge opportunity environmentally, because of course, if we can get rid of landfills, if we can make better use of our resources, we're going to be positively impacting the environment in many different ways, including climate change. Economically, as we see huge opportunities, huge business opportunities in this transformation, and also socially, we still have a lot of informal pickers, waste pickers in Chile, and they have been making a huge contribution to the recycling effort in our country, and we see this moving forward quite aggressively to a circular economy also as an opportunity for them to raise their living and working standards. And it is an opportunity as well to put Chile on the global map, right? And we are the first country in the region, one of the first countries in the world to have a circular economy office. And I'm going to tell you some other interesting things that we are doing right now. Unfortunately, in 20 minutes, I cannot tell you about everything we're doing as a country, which is way more than what I will tell you about, but then Andrea and Lynette will also complement on my presentation. So we really see a lot of opportunities coming up here. And so I'm moving on to what we are doing to realize those opportunities, to make sure we can get to them. And what we see here is that we have one key regulatory instrument, which is our recycling law, which dates from 2016, and which we are in the process right now of implementing. This is basically at the heart of the law. We have an extended producer responsibility scheme that you have in Holland, in most European countries for different kinds of products, right? And what we have in our law is a list of 6 products that need to be regulated, that will be regulated under this scheme. The law allows for other products as well to be regulated, but of course we're starting with a list of these 6 products that are included in the law. We started off with tires, we moved on to tackle packaging, and currently we are in the next few days, we will publish the draft rule for lubricant oils. We will continue on later with household batteries, electric and electronic equipment, and vehicle batteries. So as I said, the law was enacted in 2016 after 3 years of debate in Congress. and we started off the rulemaking in 2018, and it will come into force in the year 2023. So this is a 1 decade story that we're gonna have until the law actually becomes implemented. And we have time from now until 2023 for the industry to get prepared, for investments to be made, and there is a lot of opportunities coming up around this. For instance, around tires, as I said, this is the first product that we started regulating. We are regulating all tires, not only vehicle and truck tires, but also, for instance, mining tires. We're one of the first countries in the world to do that. As the ambassador mentioned, mining is the most relevant economic sector in the country, and we have 400,000 tons of of huge tires from the mining industry that are now deposited in the different mine sites, right? And that are just lying there as an environmental issue that we have to deal with. But of course, we also have a lot of car and truck and all kinds of vehicle tires that have no clear destination right now. Actually, we are currently treating only 17%. By 2018, we were treating 17% of those tires, and the targets that we have set in the extended producer responsibility scheme, this is a target that needs to be met by the producers, which in this case is mostly importers, right? Is that in a little bit less than a decade, they need to reach a 90% recovery and treatment rate, right? So this means that we will have a lot of new facilities for recycling or for other kinds of treatment for these tires. And what we see right now is the whole industry being mobilized by these new targets. As I said, this is not something that will start tomorrow. It still has a few more years until it starts, and that is exactly the time we need for the industry to get prepared with all what is necessary to make this jump. Again, this is not something that we decide to do from one day to the other. This has a progressive it moves in progressively. It starts off at 25% and then moves on and reaches 90% over this period of time, which is normally what we do with environmental policy in Chile. It's not something that happens from one day to the other, but we realize the importance of giving industry time to adjust to these new rules. When we talk about packaging, what we see here is that we have a target for all types of packaging, again, both household packaging and non-household packaging. So basically, we are talking about thousands of companies that will be regulated by this new regulation. And basically, we have set targets for the 5 different material categories. So drink cartons, Tetra Pak being the most relevant commercial brand, then metals, then paper and cardboard, plastic and glass. What you see there again is a 12-year progression that takes us to very, very ambitious targets, getting close to what you will have in the EU by that time. In terms of targets, this gets to 80% of the EU targets. But again, starting in year 1 at a very modest rate, right? And that's because we know it takes time for a proper, a well-functioning EPR system to be set up, right? And again, year 1 does not start until 30 months after the rule is published, right? So that takes us again to 2023. This means, what does this mean? That when we're talking about household packaging, because these numbers are for household packaging. We have another set of numbers for non-household packagings that I'm not going to show just because of time, but this is just to give you an idea. When we talk about household packaging, what we see here is that we will make a 5-fold increase in our current recycling rates. That means 5 times more recycling of all of these things, 5 more times collection of all of these things, 5 more times classification. We actually have no large-scale classification plants in Chile, sorting plants. And so there is a lot of investment that will be made over the coming years in Chile to actually meet these targets. And again, there's huge opportunities along that way. One of the things that we also included in the EPR scheme, in the EPR rule for packaging, is that not only do we want to reach a certain target, but we also want to move to a different kind of collection, which might be very obvious in Europe or perhaps in Holland, but up until now in Chile, for most of the cities, what we do for recycling is just set recycling points where people have to take their recyclable materials so that they get to the logistical chain. But in what will happen over the next years is that we will have door-to-door collection in 80% of all households in the nation, right? And so again, that really means a lot of a huge change that will happen over the next decade. So that's with regards to EPR. As I said, we're also moving forward with the other regulation, but that's just to give you, with the regulation of the other products, that's just to give you a sample and sort of also like a sense of the ambition we're moving forward in this agenda. I'm just going to mention a few of the other key regulatory issues that we are tackling. So organic waste, what we see is that we're going to tell the people that they need to sort their recyclable waste at home, and it's the perfect moment to tell them to also sort their food waste, their organic waste. And so that's why we developed a national organic waste strategy that is currently under a public consultation. We have set very ambitious targets there as well. In Chile, over 50%, actually 58% of all municipal waste is organic waste. So if we really want to get rid of landfills, we need to tackle this area as well. And so again, here we expect that over the next decade and the next 2 decades, we shall have various new different types of treatment plants in terms of composting, anaerobic digesters, and why not other kinds of more innovative kinds of ways of dealing with organic waste. For instance, we have a very innovative company in Chile right now that's using black soldier flies to transform organic waste to fish protein for the salmon industry, which is a great innovation of which we're very proud of. A second big issue that actually this meeting I need to go at 10:30 has to do with the launch of a roadmap for circular economy in the construction sector. It's a huge sector, and basically there is very little being done here in Chile. Again, here the EU and especially Holland is a good example for us in terms of really making sure you can use all of that waste and not only make better use of the waste, but also redesigning our cities and our built environment in a different way, in a circular way. Industrial waste, there's a lot there to be done as well in terms of, for instance, the fly ashes or the bottom ashes in our power plants that are currently just lying in dumps, and that we know can be used, for instance, for construction, but also for agriculture or for other uses. And we are working as well around there. And also plastics. We have been, Christian mentioned that we banned plastic bags in the year 2018. The law was approved and it entered into force, into full force only a few weeks ago. And what we have now is that we're moving forward with another law that tackles a much wider list of single-use plastics. We have a plastics pact that Andrea will talk about later on. We have another voluntary agreement with industry in terms of labeling of packaging with a focus on plastic. So there's a lot of activity also around the plastic industry. And so what we realized when working on all of these things is that, which are very sectorial, right? So packaging, organic waste, construction, is that there are some cross-cutting issues that we really need to tackle at a very strategic way. And that's why we decided to develop, just as Holland did in 2016, just as many other countries did in the past few years, we decided to work on a circular economy roadmap with some very ambitious targets. Here you can see the targets that we have decided to put on the table. What we did to build this roadmap is to convene a group of 33 key organizations from the public, the private sectors, the civil society, and academia. And we are working right now with them to have a draft roadmap by the month of November. And as a Ministry of the Environment, we put on the table these targets. Lynette will later on go into more detail on the process, around the process that we're going through in this roadmap construction process. But we are really, as the ambassador sir said at the beginning, there's what we see right now with all of these initiatives that I have shown you is that there's a lot of activity going on in Chile around the circular economy, and again, huge opportunities coming along in the next few years. Thank you very much. And now we go to some questions.
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation, Guillermo. It was quite interesting. I believe we show what are the initiatives the government is taking in terms of sustainability. Now, I know you have to leave for another meeting as well as the ambassador. So just to break the ice, I'm going to ask you after your presentation, because Chile is aiming, it's hoping to make a lot of improvement in this area. Which are the areas, to your opinion, where there are more challenges in terms of installed capacities?
Sure. So it's difficult to say which one area is the candidate to that answer. What we see is that there is opportunities in every single one of those areas, right? I would say that the most promising or the most immediate opportunities come up around the EPR schemes, right? And that's because we have the producers have an obligation. So this is not voluntary. This is not something that they can do or not do. They really need to comply. There is penalties up to $8 million for companies that do not comply. So they will need to move forward with this. And so there we can see huge opportunities. I mentioned during the presentation, for instance, when you think about packaging, we have no, for instance, sorting plants, large-scale sorting plants in Chile, and that will be key to successfully reaching these targets. But there's opportunities in almost every other area related to that.
That was an interesting reply. So foreign investors, please listen to that, because that's a key area, I think, in this scheme. Guillermo, I know you have to leave now. We thank you so much for your presentation. And if we have any questions, we will make it get to you in the future. But I think this is a key point for the companies, and to show how the government is doing, as mentioned before, the efforts for getting this knowledge from the European companies and develop this kind of industries here in the country, and to be the leader in the region. Thank you so much, Guillermo. And we will now continue with Andrea from Fundación Chile. She's the Chief of Sustainability at Fundación Chile. She has a Bachelor of Business Environmental Management with 6 years of experience in the design, management, and implementation of circular economy initiatives. She has participated in the development of projects that includes the development of a national program for sustainable consumption and production with the Ministry of Environment, the development of a platform for sustainable consumption and production with the UN Environment, and the Chilean Plastic Pact with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. She currently works as a sustainability leader at Fundación Chile. Andrea, please, if you can share your presentation with us.
Hi everyone, yes, 1 second, I'm just going to share my screen. There we go. So thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you Invest Chile and the Embassy of Netherlands. And good morning and afternoon, depending where you are, to everyone. And we've seen a general view about Chile, the food sector and circular economy, and now we're going to go deep into plastics. I work in Fundación Chile. Fundación Chile is a public-private non-for-profit organization that seeks to increase competitiveness through sustainable and human development. And within Fundación Chile, we have some circular economy initiatives, and one of these is Circula el Plástico, that's its name in Spanish, but it's the Chilean Plastics Pact. So these plastics pacts are a global initiative. Many of you might know them already. They started with the concern of plastic ending up in the ocean and also in landfill, how we were not taking advantage of the value of this important material. So they made, Ellen MacArthur Foundation and the World Economic Forum made this study, everybody knows it, the study that says that by 2050 there will be more plastic than fish in the sea. And basically they made this graph of the plastic flow, what's happening to plastic, right? And they discovered that not only we were throwing away at least 70% of this value, of the plastic value, and also we were having a very high virgin feedstock, producing a lot of virgin plastic, but only 14% of the plastic was actually recovered to be recycled, and only 2% of this was recycled in a closed loop. So this study was a few years ago, and this year there was a new study that's called Breaking the Plastic Wave. And Breaking the Plastic Wave was developed by Pew and Systemic with help of Ellen MacArthur Foundation. It's a global study. And what this does is now understanding what the scenario is and what the business as usual will be, what are the actions, what are the different scenarios we can take to really reduce this plastic waste and leakage. And the main conclusion of this study, as you can see in this graph, is that there's not one single silver bullet solution. It's a mix of solutions. It's a system change what we need to actually have, to actually be able to reduce the most impact. So if we just do the collection and disposal, or just do the recycling, or just do the reduce and substitute, the reduction will not be as high as doing all of this together, right, in a balanced system change. So basically what they propose is that in order to reduce 80% of the leakage today globally, you need to take these different actions. First, you do need to reduce the amount of plastic put in the system. obviously by eliminating, but not only by eliminating, but by using different delivery models such as reuse. You do need to substitute some percentage of these plastics. Plastic is a good material and it's very useful for certain applications, but maybe not for all of them. So there are some applications where maybe it's better to innovate in different materials, and so substitution is also a solution. Then obviously we need to increase mechanical recycling and also explore chemical recycling. And then there will always be a percentage where we will dispose or mismanage the plastic, like taking it to waste to energy, that's disposal, or landfill, but mismanage also open burning and some ocean pollution. So we're trying to minimize that as much as possible, but all the previous solutions will help us reduce this. And it's also an economic opportunity, it's a job creation opportunity. With this modeling that this study does, they project that 700,000 jobs will be created compared to business as usual by taking this approach. 25% of the GHG emissions will be reduced, and 55% of the virgin demand of plastic will be reduced as well. So the important thing here is that it's a mix of solutions that we need to undertake. It's not just investing in one of them, but it's seeing how each of them connect with each other so that we can have a higher and more complete, more system impact. So what has the Ellen MacArthur Foundation done based on this? They have two main initiatives, you may know them. First is the Global Commitment. The Global Commitment is well, as its name says, it's a global approach where the headquarters of different companies and also countries and headquarters of different organizations commit to set their own targets towards 2025. So Ellen MacArthur Foundation says these are the areas where you should set your targets, and each organization evaluates the targets they can commit to and report year by year. But the thing with this is that recycling systems, like waste management systems, are very local. So even though maybe in design or some other areas you can have global solutions, you also need local solutions and local actors for this to work. It does not only depend on one company. So that's why they developed the Plastics Pact Network. And the Plastics Pact Network is based on these three principles. First, eliminate. Hopefully set targets of absolute virgin plastic elimination, but identify those problematic and unnecessary plastics that we should eliminate. Then innovate in delivery models, in new materials, and in particular for flexibles and multi-materials, which are recognized as the most problematic now to be recycled. And then circulate. Once you have the right materials, then you have to have the infrastructure, the culture, etc. for this, and the demand of the recycled material for this to actually circulate. So, I don't know if you can see, wait, I'll go back one, the map. So today there are 7 official pacts that have been launched. There are 6 of different countries, UK, Netherlands, France, Portugal, South Africa. There's also a European pact. Chile was the 3rd pact overall that was created, and the first in America, and also in a different circumstance, in a developing country where the infrastructure was not yet there for this to happen. So it was part of constructing this pact. So what happens in Chile? In Chile, we have the Plastics Pact. As I said, we call it locally Circula el Plástico. It is coordinated by Fundación Chile. Fundación Chile is the local coordinator, but it is led also by the Ministry of Environment and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. It is an alliance between the three of us. We have now over 40 members. We have some founding members and then some additional and supporting members that summed up to this. But the important thing is that we have members from the whole of the ecosystem, from plastic producers, brands, plastic users, retailers, consumer associations, municipalities. We also have waste management, recyclers, etc. We have the whole chain talking about what are our main challenges and how we can ideate solutions for these challenges. And also, it is a public-private initiative. We have government agencies that are also involved in this pact, because it is not only private solutions that we need, we also, regulation and culture is an important action that also comes from government. And of course, we have alliance with academia and tech and know-how, because they also are an important part of this system. And what have we done? First of all, we have 4 specific targets for 2025. The first is to take action to eliminate this problematic and unnecessary plastic packaging through this redesign, innovation, and alternative, for example, reuse delivery models. The second is that all of the packaging that we put in the system has the potential to be reused, recycled, or composted. It's designed to be reused, recycled, or composted. The third is, okay, what happens once we give this packaging to the consumer? And it's that 33% is effectively recycled or composted. So that includes culture, infrastructure, and everything, logistics, everything that happens after. And the fourth one, which is really important, is creating a demand for this recycled content. So it's 25% in average of all of our packaging must be made up of recycled content. If there is no demand for recycled content, there is no recycling. What we did last year with these targets, after setting these targets, was construct a roadmap. Currently, it is only in Spanish, but soon it will be also in English in our website. Our website is also in English, so you can access it as well. And basically, this roadmap identifies the main challenges that we have as a group, as an ecosystem, to achieve each of these targets, and the main solutions we have prioritized in the short, long, medium, and long term to attain these targets. So just a little bit about the context of the Chilean plastic packaging sector. So packaging in Chile is a $2 billion industry, and plastic represents monetarily 41.3% of this. And not only this, but it is a growing industry. So it is important to take action now based on that these numbers will continue to increase on how we use and what will we do with all this plastic. Okay. So what happens in Chile with plastic, household and non-household? So non-household plastic, 17.5% is recycled, and household plastic, only 4.5% is recycled. And not only that, but also there is a lot of inadequate management in household plastic as well. Not only it's not recycled, it's not even landfilled sometimes. So there's a lot to do here in the treatment of this waste that is already generated. After the reduce and these other actions, starting with the recycling, there are a lot of actions we should take as well. So what are the main plastics in Chile? Plastic is one word, but it can be divided in many different types of plastics, and they all have very different realities. Some are much more recyclable than others, some are much more complex. So it is important to know what we have and what we will have in the future in order to build our infrastructure and to take informed and better decisions. The main productions are polyethylene, high density and low density, and also PET. And the main imports, what might be more alarming here, because PET, polyethylene, high density and low density, and polypropylene are the three most recyclable ones, right? And then you have the others that are 7, right? The number 7, these are the ones that today are not recyclable, and we do have a lot of imports in this kind of plastics. And also, well, we export polystyrene, which is a plastic that has not yet had have a solution because there is not a high demand of the recycled material of this plastic. It's not that it cannot be recycled, but we need to increase the demand in order for this to be a business, right? So the main consumption in Chile, it's almost half and half in flexibles and rigids, which is complicated because flexibles are usually much more harder to recycle than rigids. And in Chile, our main recycling mechanisms are based on rigid plastics. Who are the main consumers or users of this plastic packaging are food and beverages, which also is a challenge because obviously the requirements for packaging for food because of inequity and health issues are much higher than for other products as well. So these are things we have to consider when we take the challenge of packaging in Chile. And final context, let me know, Christian, how much time I have. I know I have a long presentation, but you just let me know. So what happens with the recycling rates, and which is connected to basically to the price of the resin and the recycled resin, right? So the resins with a higher price are polypropylene, the ones we said before, polyethylene and PET. And this obviously is completely related to what we recycle in Chile. 73% of what we recycled is actually polyethylene and polypropylene, which is mainly non-household recycling, and the rest is mainly PET, which is household recycling. But so obviously, if we increase the price and the demand for this recycled material, the recycling will also increase. There is a direct relationship between both of them. And another thing that's important is that the installed capacity allows a 52% increase in grinding and 43% increase in pelletization. So today, even though in the future it might be, today the capacity for recycling is not a barrier. The barrier is basically the collection of these materials and the selling of these materials after they are recycled. But the capacity is not what's restricting the increase in recycling right now. Some of the main drivers that are happening right now that we must consider when we are thinking of investments or initiatives we want to take into consideration. Obviously, Guillermo already talked about some of these, the EPR law. So we have a 45% recycling rate in year 12 for plastics, which means this is something that is coming and there will be a business in here. And also there is an obligation for separate collection. The coverage should be 80% in year 12 for all households. So even though today we're not collecting as much material as we would like, this will definitely increase with this regulation. Another regulation that is still in discussion, but it's advancing really quickly, is the single-use plastic law. This is not the BAC law, it's another one, which basically has 4 areas. It bans certain types of plastics for delivery, for food delivery, which is kind of the controversial part of the law because they're looking at which will be the alternatives and if they will actually exist or have a lower impact. There's promotion of reuse in food establishments, which is really good. And also there's regulation for PET bottles. So by 2025, the proposed law is that 25% of bottles should be rPET, recycled PET, no? So installed bottle-to-bottle technologies in Chile. That's a big opportunity here, right? And there's also promotion of return schemes. So now supermarkets and other big channels of sales will be forced to have space for all these return schemes for bottles or for beverages. And another thing that's happening that also helps this move faster is the eco-labeling that has been developed for packaging. It's not an eco-labeling of the product impact, it's an eco-labeling of how recyclable the packaging is. But this is also a tool for consumers to be able to choose more recyclable packaging, and also to inform themselves on how to recycle. So you have two things. You have the label if your packaging is over 80% recyclable, and you have information at the back on how you have to separate and recycle it. So this may be a big cultural change as well. Okay, so I'm just going to talk, not go much into detail on all of this, but that was like a big context on what is happening in Chile. Now I want to talk a little bit of what we're doing in the pact in the next year and a half. So the next year and a half will be focused on these areas: design, collection, separation, and pretreatment, recycling, and recycled demand. And obviously, in parallel, what's transversal to this is regulation and culture. No, we need those two for all of these to work. So in design, we have a focus on promoting reuse models. We have projects with B2B reuse, but also with B2C reuse. We're planning a regional reuse seminar this year in November. Also, we have the challenge of designing out non-recyclables strategies, especially for multi-materials, not all of them, but not the non-recyclable multi-materials and the flexible packaging. So we are constructing a design for recyclability guide that's based in Chile, because it's different what you can recycle in one country than another. It depends on the infrastructure you have in the country. We also have an initiative that looks towards aligning designs for similar types of products. If brands start to innovate in different kinds of plastics and mixes of plastics, etc., it makes it really difficult for the recycling sector to take and recycle all of this. It will not be possible for the recycling sector to recycle all of the different kinds of plastics that exist. So design areas should align as well to what it is possible and try to align their designs for this to be easier. Incorporate more recycled material in new packaging. This means build more demand for this recycled material. We're developing guidance on this because there's a lot of lack of knowledge on where I could increase this recycled material without affecting the physical properties of the packaging. And also we are investigating the regulation on using recycled material in food packaging, because here in Chile it's something that is not that clear, and obviously we need to clear that in order to avoid any risk for the ones who want to invest in this. Obviously the compostables are a big issue now because everybody is trying to obviously promote compostables. There's a big movement with this, but compostables are a solution for specific cases, not for everything. Not all the times compostables have a lower impact. So what we need to define, and that's our guidance, is when to make a decision tree on when it is better to use compostables and when not, and what kind of compostables. Redesign problematic plastics. Obviously, we have a guidance on that, and also innovation. Innovation is key here. And we are we're developing an open innovation platform to look for innovations in new functionalities, models, materials for this. In collection, obviously we need to increase the coverage of separate waste collection, but that will come with the EPR law. And also it will come when we promote the demand for recycled material, increase the quality of recycled content, and create a strong culture for separating an origin. All these things have to do with culture and education for citizenship. So we have different initiatives in this area. And there's some regulatory issues as well, because municipal contracts with waste management are usually long-term contracts. So in order for them to change these contracts and be able to hire recycling companies, they will have to break this contract. So there's an issue or a regulatory barrier there that we also have to solve, and we're making a study to understand better these regulatory barriers and opportunities to see how we can improve and accelerate this with the municipalities. Separation and pre-treatment, I'm almost there, I promise. So obviously there's a lack of automated separation plants in Chile. Guillermo mentioned it, Christian as well. This is a very big area where investment could be very profitable. And not only that, but also in the development of identification and traceability technologies, such as the Holy Grail project that is happening in Europe. There's nothing of this here in Chile, so there's a big opportunity for development here. There's a recycling gap, but only for some specific materials that are very hard to recycle, or very expensive to recycle and are not worth the price at which they are paid after. And obviously we need investment in new technologies and optimization processes.
Andrea, sorry to interrupt, but in order to save some time for the Q&A, I'll have to, I know you're very passionate about this subject, but still we have one more presentation. And if you have, just to keep on track with the time.
Yeah, I'll just finish with this. So the last point is the recycling demand, and we have also some initiatives on how we can increase demand for recycled material, not only in packaging, but in other sectors as well. As Guillermo was talking, there's a circular economy map also in construction, in mining, they use a lot of plastic and other areas as well. And basically, we do this through our 6 working groups: circular design, reuse, open innovation, infrastructure, culture, and dialogue. And well, this you can see, you can have our presentation after, and you can go into detail, but these are the main outputs we will have in the first year and a half that might be useful for this analysis. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Andrea. We know you're very passionate for this and you dedicate a lot of time. And it was very, very, very interesting. Now we will continue with Lynette Solway. She's the Director of Technology Transfer and Circular Economy at Euro-Chile Foundation. She's a civil environmental engineer with a master in environmental engineer at College London University in England. Currently, she coordinates the construction of the Circular Economy Roadmap for Chile from the Foundation Euro-Chile, among other projects. Please, Lynette, if you can share your presentation with us. Many thanks.
Here we go. Thank you very much, Christian, and thank you very much for the invitation to participate in this webinar. I think we've heard a lot of what's happening today in Chile, all the different initiatives. And so I'm going to take 10 minutes, so we have some time for Q&A, to go through what we're doing at the foundation, at the Euro-Chile Business Foundation, specifically contributing to the collaboration between Chile and Europe. So just to give you some context, Euro-Chile is a private non-profit foundation that was founded in 1993 by the EU and the Chilean state, in order to create, promote, and strengthen economic, trade, and technological cooperation between Chilean and European SMEs and public and private institutions, as well as support the internationalization process of SMEs. So, in order to promote and strengthen know-how and technology transfer, which is mainly what we focus on between the European Union and Chile, we've been focusing on specific economic sectors and topics that have proven to be most promising for Chilean-European cooperation, namely agriculture, tourism, technology in general, and that's also how we got to the circular economy. So I'm just going to briefly go through some of the main initiatives we have taken part in and organized within the circular economy sector, let's say. So back in 2016, the Director General of Environment, led by Daniel Calleja, so the Director General of the European Commission, organized its first circular economy mission. These missions, you might have heard of them. They're a series of high-level political and business meetings in third countries that serve to communicate and promote sustainable and resource-efficient policies. And so the first destination of these missions that are still going on was Chile, back in 2016. And at the time, we supported the DG in organizing this mission. And we also held this first brokerage event with over 70 companies from the EU and Chile on this topic of sustainability, but more specifically, circular economy. And from then on, in 2018, together with the Chilean Ministry of Environment and UNIDO, we organized an important Latin American circular economy conference where over 700 people participated, which already showed, I mean, we spent months organizing this event, and of course we wanted it to be successful, but we really had a great turnout, and I think that really showed the high level of interest that the circular economy in general was attracting in the country. So then, well, as the ambassador mentioned, in last year, COP25 was supposed to take place in Chile. Well, as you know, it didn't. It got moved to Madrid. And we were planning to organize a couple of events in the setting of the COP25. So we moved them to Madrid and also organized some events with the DG Environment, and then a more business-oriented event on circular economy, also organizing business meetings in order to promote the circular economy and link it to the climate change crisis. And finally, the last project I'm just going to mention here, and that has been mentioned a couple of times by Guillermo, by Andrea, is this circular economy roadmap, the Chilean circular economy roadmap that we are currently working on. We are supporting the ministry and other governmental organizations in building this roadmap. I'm not going to go into much detail. We are right now at a stage where we are still collecting a lot of information. So we are working with this multi-stakeholder committee that Guillermo mentioned, but we've also just finished 2 months working with roundtables. So over 140 participants from civil society, of course, governmental organizations, the public, the private sector, and academia. And so we are still, let's say, consolidating all this information. And in November, we should have a much better and clearer idea of what the roadmap and its different objectives will look like. Now, I think through our experience as Chile and promoting this cooperation between Chile and Europe for the past 28 years nearly, one of the main opportunities, so we've looked a lot in the past presentation at what Chile is doing and how that opens up a door for new opportunities, right? Well, I think here we can also say that what Europe is doing, and specifically the European Green Deal, is one of the main opportunities for EU-Chile collaborations in the coming years, and definitely within the agro-food industry. So any company looking to internationalize and expand their market to Europe will need to comply with the new requirements that the Green Deal will impose in the different lines of action it has. And no doubt, any company that is currently exporting to Europe or looking to export to Europe in the next years could be highly benefited by some type of collaboration with a European company, be it through financial support or technical support or technological support. So now on to how we could help you generate these connections. So how you can generate these connections and how we can help you to do so. Some of you might be familiar with the Enterprise Europe Network, which is an SME-oriented EU finance network that promotes international growth and cooperation for companies. So we're the contact point for Chile, the only contact point in Chile, meaning that if, and this EN, so the difference between maybe contacting directly the embassy in this case, is that it's open. It's not bilateral. It's Chile Europe. So here I'm talking to any companies that maybe aren't from the Netherlands as well, and also to any Chilean company or Chilean-based company that is interested in looking for partners in Europe, or much more than partners, experts, technologies, market information, etc. The Enterprise Europe Network is a very useful tool and foot in the door to get into Europe, and any European companies to contact their local contact point, who would then contact us, and we would then be the support organization answering your request from here, Chile. Then hand in hand with the work we do through the EEN are these brokerage events and business meetings. So we've organized a lot of these throughout the years, promoting this, well, first introduction and then collaboration between EU and Chilean-based companies. Usually we, or most of the time, we organize these events in the setting of specific fairs and specific topics, but we have also organized a lot of these brokerage events on request of missions, of business missions traveling from Europe to Chile that are looking to meet specific companies or companies in specific sectors. So we can definitely help with that as well. And finally, another way we promote transfer of technology, of knowledge, of experience is through projects. These can be both EU or Chilean funded, usually publicly funded projects, such as, for example, Horizon 2020 projects. And I mention specifically Horizon 2020 right now, because in the next few weeks, as you might know, the EU is opening a special call, special Horizon 2020 call for the European Green Deal. So each strategy or line of action of the Green Deal has a call, and Chile is eligible to participate on most of these calls. So that could be a very interesting opportunity to develop collaboration projects between the Netherlands or Europe and Chile. And just to finish off, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them right after this. I'd like to present to you some of the, so as everyone knows, the pandemic has had a lot of negative effects, but I think definitely in terms of connecting people, it's made it easy. I mean, looking at what we're doing today, this webinar really allows and makes it easier to develop these connections. And so what we've seen is that actually the participation in digital or virtual brokerage events has increased significantly from the Chilean side. Instead of having companies having to pay for flights and accommodation in Europe to participate in a 2-3 day fair and brokerage event, now it's much easier just to connect via, well, online. So here are 3 initiatives that are business meetings that are taking place in the next couple of weeks, months, specifically on for the agro-food business and related to sustainability and circular economy. So I think it's actually a great opportunity if you want to meet Chilean companies and get a feel also for what they need, what they're looking for, and what type of cooperation could be developed between you and such a Chilean company. And of course, these are also, I mean, I'm talking to you because this webinar is mainly oriented to European and Dutch companies. But of course, if there are any Chilean companies, I understand there are Chilean companies listening to us right now, I also really encourage you to sign up to these brokerage events. They're free to participate. You just have to create a profile. If you go to the Eurochile website, which is both in Spanish and English, you will find all the information to subscribe to register to these events. And then you can make your own agenda, plan the meetings you want. And I think it's a very good opportunity to meet other companies and start a conversation. So that's it for me. Happy to answer any questions, and thank you once again to Invest Chile and the Embassy of the Netherlands for organizing this very interesting webinar.
Thank you so much, Lynette. Many thanks to all the speakers for sharing these insightful presentations, very helpful indeed. So now we're going to start with our Q&A session. We don't have a lot of time, but we will read some of the questions we have had. I know that Andrea was replying on the chat those. For example, Felipe Segers asked, how about reusable packaging? Are there any initiatives or projects on the roadmap? Andrea or Lynette?
Yeah. Yes. So, well, I'll talk about packaging. Maybe Lynette can talk about reuse in general, because I know you have a reuse group in the circular economy roadmap. In packaging, definitely it is a focus that we have. We have currently 2 companies that do reuse of packaging. One is Algramo and the other one is Ecocarga. Both are detergents and cleaning products, and some even come to your house and do the exchange. So you have your own packaging, and then you just do the refill. But we have a working group that's called Reuse, and working on collaboration models on this, identifying what are the barriers and how can we promote this. And we will have a regional seminar in November on reuse.
Perfect, thank you. We have another question from Bert Gessman. Will Chile aim for source separation of recyclables or more for post-collection separation?
Post-collection separation. So basically what's going to happen is that the ideal is, and this comes in when the organic strategy also comes in, but you will have 3 bins, no? One for waste, one for recyclables, and one for organic. First will come the recyclables and waste, and then eventually when the strategy starts, the organic strategy starts, you'll have the 3rd one. And then this goes to separation plants. And there's a gap there that has to be a field of separation infrastructure.
Perfect, thank you so much. Lynette, during your presentation, you mentioned the Green Deal. Can you explain a little more about the opportunities and challenges that represents for Chilean companies and the collaboration with European companies?
Yeah, definitely. So with the Green Deal coming into play in the next coming years, and not only for the agro-food, I mean, definitely in many different sectors, the Chilean companies currently exporting or looking to export to Europe will definitely need to first know about the new requirements and then implement the changes needed to comply with the new norms. And this might be quite tricky on their own. They might need financing. They might need new technologies, changes in their process that a lot of European companies might already have gone through and implemented. So there, I think there's a very big opportunity, especially considering, I mean, Chile, as we've seen today in the presentations, exports a lot of agro-food, forestry, pulp and paper, which are all very important sectors and products for the EU and for the Green Deal. So I think definitely right now there's a big information gap in Chile. Not many companies know about the Green Deal and what actually that's going to mean for exports. So I think it's very important that they can collaborate with European, and I think there's a huge opportunity also for European companies to come and share their experience and develop partnerships with and maybe joint ventures with Chilean companies.
Okay, thank you so much, Lynette. We have a lot of questions, but on behalf of the time, we will have to ask you kindly, and we apologize for that, to send us your questions to our email, and we will try to reply as soon as possible. So on behalf of the Ministry of Environment, Invest Chile, the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Chile, Eurochile, and Fundación Chile, we thank you for your interest today. And remember that this webinar content will be sent by email soon. And we also invite you to visit our website, investchile.gov.cl. And we suggest you to subscribe to our newsletter to stay tuned. We thank you one more time for joining us today. And we wish you a great day. Thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you.
Goodbye.